Hi, I'm Tracey George. I'm the Vice Provost for Faculty Affairs and a faculty member in the law school, where we're taping this Zoom session, which is an introduction or review of how to use various online tools for your teaching as we move today to alternative instruction in light of the current crisis. I am not going to provide any of the training. You have very able staff who are going to do that, and I will introduce them in a minute. But I wanted to take a moment to remind you of some things that I fear will get lost in this process. The first is, I have faith in you, our leadership has faith in you, your colleagues have faith in you, your students have faith in you to teach your classes the way you deem best. That may mean using these tools that we're going to discuss today. It may mean using other tools. It could be phone calls, it could be emails, it could be letters. It's up to you. This is your course. Just as we do throughout the year, we trust you to make the best decisions for your students. As part of that, what I would ask you to do is please be in regular touch with your students. They're incredibly anxious and stressed out, as you can imagine. They aren't accustomed to this manner of instruction, just as we aren't. I think reassuring them that you have this, that you're going to do your best, that you're being flexible and listening to their concerns will go a very far way to alleviate their stress. They're looking to you as a leader and a mentor, and so please be in regular touch with them. Please take the initiative to reassure them that we're all going to get through this and it's going to be fine. We're hearing a lot from them. In a way, I worry more about the students I'm not hearing from about what's going on. So that's part of my message. This is your class, you're in charge, do what you think is best, serve your students well. Another part of my message is to just tell you that we do have this institutionally. We have an incredible staff who's been preparing for this both over the last 2 months when we've been working on our response as the crisis's size has become more apparent. But also, honestly, our Center for Teaching and VUIT have in a way been preparing for these continuity issues for many years. As you look at the content, the amazing content that exists on the Center for Teaching page, what you'll see is that that content has existed there and been updated regularly more than just over the past 2 months. So they're extremely well prepared. We have outstanding people that you're going to hear from today who are going to talk to you about these resources and who will continue to be available to you. Finally, I want to let you know that if you go to the Office of Faculty Affairs webpage, we have on a banner a link to a web portal that has all kinds of resources related to teaching continuity, including an FAQ that answers the questions that we're hearing repeatedly, such as, can I continue to hold office hours? We're encouraging to do that virtually, but of course, and similar questions. Finally, the one question I really want to draw your attention to is, please do not assume that your students will have ready access to Wi-Fi, strong internet at home. You're going to hear more about that and how to handle that. But we are definitely concerned about accessibility issues for a variety of reasons, ranging to limited resources, to the knowledge that the country's infrastructure is under stress. So please be flexible. Please encourage your students, as you always do, to be in touch with you. So we have incredible staff at Vanderbilt. I'm reminded of that every day, and recently it's been every minute. And you're going to hear from 3 outstanding staff members. I also want to thank Jermaine Soto, who's the Director of Faculty Development, and Paige Snay, who works as a digital specialist in the Center for Teaching, who are here providing support. In front of the camera, you're going to see BC Hatchett, who's an Associate Director with VUIT. Stacey Johnson, who's an assistant director for the Center for Teaching, as well as a faculty member in ANS. And then finally from Jay Kassinger, who also works in a leadership role within VUIT. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to them.
Good morning. Like Tracey said, my name is BC Hatchett. I'm the Associate Director for AV Design and Support and Media Services with VUIT. And my role this morning is to kind of talk about what VUIT is doing to help support this initiative. So Zoom is fully operational now. It is rolled out. Everyone does have full access at this point. If you are continuing to have any issues with it, I would encourage you to please reach out via your normal support channels to report those so that we can get those escalated and squared away as soon as possible. VUIT is working hand in hand with Center for Teaching on making sure that this is indeed supported as much as possible. And to that extent, we're also mirroring Cft Support Hours right now. Those support hours are Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Friday 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., and then Sunday 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. We will have staff available to answer questions and tickets as they come in, and we will help get you going as soon as possible. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about what VUIT's role is in this initiative. We will be your main point of contact with any issues pertaining to Zoom itself. So if you're having connectivity issues with your webcam or your laptop or having problems signing on, those are issues that you would report directly to VUIT. If you're having issues with Brightspace usability or need any guidance on how to use the tool in your courses, CFT would definitely be your best resource for those types of questions. So again, I would encourage you to submit your questions through your normal support channels if you are having issues, and we're just here to help you and make this successful. Thank you.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I just wanted to let you know that we have Paige listening in on any conversation that you have in the background on Zoom. So feel free to talk to Paige or to each other. And we also have the chat open, and Paige is going to be monitoring the chat and answering questions as we go. I won't be able to do that because I can't multitask like that, but Paige is right here and she's going to make sure that I can interact with you as fully as possible.
I'm going to share your screen whenever you're ready.
Thank you. I haven't even opened my screen yet, so let me get that open. I'm going to open up Brightspace.
Do you mind if I share this
Please.
so that way they can just see everything?
Thank you, Jake.
Welcome. All right, go for it.
If you are, well, I guess everyone today is on Zoom, so it would be great if everyone could go ahead and open up Brightspace. We are going to just take a tour of some of the stuff that's available, but I want to make sure we go ahead and get it open. Paige, is everyone in the course?
They're not. I'm waiting for people to submit.
Great. So we have a training course that we want to add you to today. So it's going to look something like this once we get you added into it. All we need you to do is just send your VUNet ID or email to Paige through the form that she's put up for you in the chat. But actually, to start, I wanted to talk a little bit about how online teaching might be framed a little bit differently from the face-to-face teaching that we normally do. So when I come into a classroom, I normally teach seminars, but I think this is true for most different kinds of classes. I come in with a toolkit of different things that I'm going to do to sort of support engagement and get students interacting with the content. And I don't really have to think about when am I presenting information, when am I interacting with students, when are students presenting. I just come in with a plan and I facilitate all those different levels of interactions, sometimes on the fly, sometimes in really structured ways, but the main tool is me and the students and the classroom space that we're in. But when we move instruction online, we have to start to tease apart what are the different levels of interaction. And I keep touching things that aren't the mouse and then wondering how come they're not moving my screen around. Let me get this open. So interesting. I don't have the thing. It's okay. I'm just going to talk to you guys. I don't need the thing. If you have questions as we go, by the way, feel free to just stop and ask Paige or talk about your specific circumstance. We're a small enough group where we can be really intentional about how we engage with each other. So for instance, if I plan to start class with a little informal discussion over the reading, I don't really have anything planned. I just want to facilitate that interaction. That is going to be a different sort of tool in Brightspace or online than when I come in with lecture slides and prepared to present and make sure that a certain amount of content gets presented in class. I like to separate out different kinds of teaching activities online into presentational activities, which is where one person is presenting out to the group. Usually that's me presenting out to the group. Sometimes it's a student presenting out to the group. And interactional activities, which is where we really kind of need that back and forth. The other way that we need to start to think about online teaching is different from face-to-face teaching is whether it's synchronous or asynchronous. So just by default, face-to-face teaching is synchronous. We all are there in the same place at the same time. we're moving things around, but there's a lot of asynchronous elements to our teaching usually. Like if my students do readings before they come to class, I assign those readings, weeks ahead of time, and they can read them at any point that works for them up until the class meeting. If they prepare assignments or papers, those are always asynchronous. They do them at their own time, not in class while I'm watching. And the truth about online teaching is a lot of the things that we're doing synchronously in our face-to-face classroom can pretty easily be translated into asynchronous activities that give students more flexibility in when and where they complete the assignments or do the readings or engage in the discussion. And then the third thing that I want to keep in mind as we talk about all these tools is bandwidth. And I know that's already been a theme today in the presentation so far, but even though we have full faith that we have the best tools and we've gotten reassurances from all the vendors that we work with that the tools are ready for the stress, the truth is that we can't control lots of variables. Student Wi-Fi at home, faculty Wi-Fi at home, just the general bandwidth available to the country when every institution of higher education is going online all together at the same time today, right? So there are a lot of variables that we can't be in control of, and the activities that use the highest bandwidth for us and for our students are ones that require live synchronous interaction and ones that require video. So if there's a way to take that live synchronous interaction and make it available asynchronously, that will help alleviate some of the stress on just the general Wi-Fi and technical abilities that all of us are working within constraints. If we can take video activities and think of ways to make them audio or even make them textual, or maybe shorten the amount of video we're using, that will also allow us to sort of loosen the requirements on how much Wi-Fi is actually necessary for our students to access things. Does that make sense? So we have live Zoom classrooms available for every single user on campus. And if you want to have more or less a normal class, just do it virtually through Zoom. We have that built in. We also have the virtual classroom, which is Brightspace's built-in video conferencing tool, and both of those are ready to go. However, what we're going to talk about when we learn how to use those tools is ways we might make those more accessible, lower bandwidth, more asynchronous, just to lessen the burden. Okay, any questions about that? I don't normally ask for questions, but I feel like I'm in a room with 3 other people and it would be silly for me not to stop and check in with everyone. So let me know if you want to talk. Are we ready to go? Yeah, okay. Now, when you're in Brightspace, the first thing I want to do is show you how to use Kaltura Media. Kaltura can be a really great way to create lecture video. So one of the ways we're going to kind of tease out presentational and interactional is if you need to present lecture to your students, even if you generally lecture and sprinkle that lecture with interaction. It's like I'll do a few slides and then we'll have a discussion. I'll do a few slides and then we do a think, pair, share. In online teaching, we're going to try and separate that out. So putting all of the presentational parts into a lecture slides video. And by the way, let me open up another page here. If you go to vanderbilt.edu/Brightspace, you'll see our support site. And one of the cool features on this support site is our on-demand resources. You see the tab right here on the top. When you click on that, there's a page for instructors, a page for students. You are definitely going to want to share that student page with your students in your communications with them. Let them know that we have a lot of resources to help them. But you'll want to check in regularly for the instructor guides also. We've been building these guides for almost 3 years since we first adopted Brightspace. But in the last couple of weeks, we've been adding and updating, I would say daily, but it's more like hourly. These keep getting better as we go. Page, I don't know why, but for some reason it won't let me look at the on-demand resources. Can you go in the back end? Oh, never mind, it just did. I don't know what the browser was doing. Here's another thing that we really need to keep in mind is technology is sometimes surprising in what it does. And so just being flexible and expecting surprises is probably a good idea. And I know you guys don't have a page over here to be like, Paige, can you help me? But trust me, you're gonna be able to figure it out. We have a lot of guides to help. So once again, here's our guides. We have some about how to navigate your course, some about how to manage your course, how to use the content page, like creating modules, moving things around, how to use assignments, tests and quizzes, all sorts of things. But what we're gonna start with today is creating and using video on Brightspace, all about the Kaltura app. So if you are following along, I would love it if you would open up the Kaltura Quickstart guide. That is actually a front and back one-page guide that I like to print that out and actually keep it next to me as I'm using Kaltura, because it helps you navigate the interface. And if you run into anything unexpected, it just shows you like which button does what. Okay, so when you first log on to Brightspace, you see all your courses here. I would love everyone to go up to My Media and click that. Now, when you click it, if you've never clicked on My Media before, you will get a little checkbox that says, do you want to proceed? And you just check that and say, yes, you want to proceed. Is anyone getting an error message of any kind when they try to log on to Kaltura, or is everyone able to get to a My Media page? Okay, I'm going to take that as that everyone is fine. You probably don't have a lot of videos here, if any. If you've never used My Media before, then this screen is going to be blank for you. However, we can add media to this. And the cool thing about Kaltura is it allows the videos to be streamed for our students, so they don't have to download big Kaltura or big videos, lecture videos directly to their devices, which takes a long time. It takes really good Wi-Fi and is not always super dependable. Kaltura will allow students to stream those videos buffered so that they can get more value out of the videos with a lower quality Wi-Fi. There's still lower bandwidth options that we'll talk about also, but Kaltura can be a great one. If you already have the lecture videos made, let's say that you are using a screencasting app, or you have a Mac and you used QuickTime or some other tool to put together a lecture video. If you already have a file on your computer, then what you're going to do is click Add New, or not just computer, you can add files from a mobile device as well. You'll click Add New and then Media Upload. So for those of you that have made your lecture videos, you just need to figure out how to deliver them to students in a way that doesn't stress their Wi-Fi out too much. Media Upload is where you're going to go. And that'll just give you an interface where you can just drag and drop the file right off of your computer into this box, and it'll upload it. It takes a while, but it'll upload it and make it available to deploy to any course. You can also say choose a file to upload. It's either if you drag and drop or click choose a file, it's going to work all the same either way. I'm going to go back to My Media because there's a second thing My Media can do. It can store videos you've already made. By the way, Kaltura, what we're going to do next is called Kaltura Capture. It does not download to mobile devices, only to Windows or Mac desktops. So I'm going to ask everyone to download the Kaltura Capture tool if they haven't already. And if you're using a mobile device right now, you're not going to be able to do that. Kaltura Capture is just a screencasting tool that happens to be available through Brightspace. You don't have to pay anything for it. It's already paid for. It's already ready to use. But if you would rather use another, I have an app on my iPad that I love to make screencasts with called Explain Everything. There's a little bit of a fee there's like an Explain Everything EDU app that you can get. There's a little bit of a fee to download it, but it's a really cool app. People who have different kinds of devices, you might have a screencasting app like Camtasia that you prefer. Feel free to use whatever app that you like. Once you have the video, you can upload to Media Upload. But if you don't already have a screencasting app that you like, if you don't have a way to have your slides on your device, on your laptop in this case, and scroll through them and talk over them and turn it into a presentational video, you can go to Add New right here, and then click on Kaltura Capture. If you have never downloaded Kaltura Capture before, then you're going to see right here, it says using Kaltura Capture for the first time, download for Windows or download for Mac. So our folks who are on the Zoom, would you guys mind telling me if you've already downloaded Kaltura Capture or if maybe Paige can walk you through the process? If you've already downloaded it, I'll keep moving. If you haven't downloaded it before, we'll hang out and we'll walk you through it before we move on.
So we have from Lynn Ramey, she says she's saying that it's not available in the teaching and training course, I believe. But the difference between my media and
Right, you have to be really careful that you're not inside of a course when you use My Media. So the question was, where is it inside of the training course? We don't want to be inside of a course. You want to go just log into Brightspace, and on that main page where all of your courses are, don't go into a course. Just click on My Media. And then look at the blue Add New button, and the Kaltura Capture should be there. So this is going to be true for a lot of different things in Brightspace, where if you use the tool outside of a course, you get sort of a global view, like your whole view of everything that's in Brightspace. But if you use it inside of a course, it's going to restrict you to just things that are possible at the course level. So that's why we want to go to My Media before we click on a course. Click on Kaltura Capture, and if you already have it downloaded, then you're going to click Open Kaltura Capture. And this is what the interface looks like. So if you have that Quickstart guide with you, this is when you can compare what you see in the Quickstart guide image to what we see here. This right here, I'm going to move this over a little bit. This right here is the recording button. Once I'm ready to record, this is what I'm going to hit. These three are all my options for what I can record. Now, it is possible to use any combination of these. So let me turn off the screen. You see it's grayed out with a line through it, and I'm going to turn off the camera. Now I'm only recording audio. Audio takes up a lot less bandwidth than video. So if you have something that you need to communicate to students and you don't need to show a visual, you can communicate it all with audio, that is a great option. The other thing is Kaltura has captioning. So if you create an audio file, if you create an audio recording, and then after it's uploaded to My Media, you can request captions. And I'm not going to go through the process of requesting captions right now, but I do want to show you on our support site, there are two help questions here. One is, how do I add captions to my video? And how do I edit captions in my video? So the captions it'll add is basically just machine transcription. It's about 80% accurate. It gets super close. And then it allows you to go in and edit it to make sure it's perfect. So if you have a lecture that you need to give to students and you would generally do that lecture in class with slides behind you, one thing you can do to make it really, really, oh, I lost my Kaltura. How do I get that back? Here it is. Haha. Look at me solving my problems. I didn't even call out for Paige that time. That's awesome. Things are getting better by the minute. So you can create a screen capture, for example, where you have the video of the slides and you can hear my voice. And because it's video, it's naturally going to be slightly higher bandwidth. But I can also turn off that screen capture, only do audio, and then ask Kaltura to create a transcript and edit that transcript a little bit. That's going to be a lower bandwidth option just because we've turned off the video. And I can upload my slides separately for students to click through. So if you want to create the most accessible lecture video possible, it might be by skipping the video altogether, giving them your audio along with the transcript and the slides separately, and allowing students to click through the slides as they listen. However, if you create a lecture video where you can see the whole screen and hear the professor's voice, and we create a video, and you put that video on Kaltura, that will be much easier for students to watch than if you add the video directly to the course. It will be require less Wi-Fi from them. The other thing that we highly recommend, and this is for 2 reasons, is that you do not record long videos. Even if you would normally, let's say you have a large lecture course that meets for 50 minutes, even if you would normally stand at the front and lecture for 50 minutes, video is not the place for a 50-minute lecture, and there's 2 reasons for that. One is because a 50-minute video is just actually, I'm sorry, 3 reasons. One is because a 50-minute video is just a lot to buffer. So if you have unstable Wi-Fi and are trying to upload that to Kaltura, it's going to take a long time. Then if students are trying to watch it and they're trying to buffer it, there might be huge buffer breaks while they're watching it. It'll be really unstable. The second reason why we recommend short videos is because editing video is not awesome. It's something that some people love to do and they spend a lot of time getting good at it, but I absolutely refuse to edit video. And if you are not already a skilled expert at video editing, I would highly recommend you do not edit video. Create short videos that are easy to do in one take. And instead of one 50-minute lecture, consider doing 8 or 9, like 6 or 7-minute lecture videos. Break up your ideas into smaller chunks. That way, if you realize that at minute 20, there's an error on a slide and it needs to be replaced, you're not redoing a 50-minute lecture. You're just doing that one section where the error was, just re-recording that few minutes. That's going to save you as a faculty member so much energy because mistakes happen. They definitely happen, and video editing is not awesome. It's not fun. So keeping it short. But the third reason is probably for me the most compelling, and that's that there's a lot of research about online courses and students watching videos. And my colleague at the Center for Teaching, Cynthia Brame, wrote a teaching guide about creating effective educational videos. And the research is pretty clear that after about 6 minutes, there's a significant drop off in students being able to watch and process what they see. So even though over a 50-minute class period, students might be able to really focus and get everything down, when they're watching a video, we know that after about 6 minutes, things really drop off and they're just not getting the full effect. So we recommend keeping those videos no more than 10 minutes long. And if you have a 50-minute lecture that you need to record, figure out where the natural breaks are, take it small topic by small topic, and put all of those videos together in one module so that students can take them one by one. For technical reasons, for pedagogical reasons, and just for your own sanity as an instructor, long videos are not a great idea. Shorter videos are going to be better all around. So all of that said, the other thing that I can turn on is a camera. And it's possible for me to just have the camera on and create like a webcam video, what I'm doing right now. So I could have the camera on, I could talk directly to students. I could even have, if I'm using my laptop camera to use Kaltura, I could have the laptop right here in front of me and have my whiteboard right here next to me. And I could even jot things down on the whiteboard. So there's like a lot that you can do with a webcam camera to sort of simulate lecture. You can also do both. If you have a screen capture on and the camera on, what it does is actually create 2 separate videos, and then it puts them together to be picture in picture. So you'll have like a big lecture slide and then your little face in the corner. And it gives the users the option to toggle between big slide, little face, and little slide, big face. And so that can be really useful as well if you think that students are going to want to go back and forth. And often I'm creating these lecture slides like really late at night in my house, and I don't want to have the webcam on, but it can be really humanizing and really reassuring for students to actually see you in the videos you create. So that's a nice option as well. If you're able to do the picture-in-picture version, it's kind of nice. Okay, so let's assume that I'm just going to do lecture slides and audio. I'm going to have the camera off. There you go. When I click on the screen, it asks me, do I want to get the full screen or do I want to select area? So normally the full screen is fine, but let's say I have my lecture slides open and I have my slide notes underneath the slides, and I don't actually want students to see my notes. I just want them to see the slides. I can choose select area, and you see what it does here? It gives me like a little grayed out box. That is what will actually be captured. So if all I want to do is capture everything right in the middle, I can use my mouse to spread things around, make sure they're just right, get exactly the space I want. All right, that's it. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to click confirm. Now this red box is what I'm filming. Everything outside of the box doesn't get filmed or recorded. I guess filmed is an old-fashioned word now, right? All right, I'm ready to record. Are you guys following along? Are you, Beth and Lynn, are you guys ready to record? I would like you to actually record something, if you don't mind. I don't have the chat up, so I can't see you talking. They said yes. Okay, I would like you guys to actually record something. My strong advice is to do like 20 practice videos with different settings. Do some with just the webcam, some with just the screen, some without audio, some with audio. Just do lots of different settings and practice. But right now, let's just try a quick screen record. I'm gonna do one on my end. I'm gonna let y'all do one on your end as well. See the countdown? It doesn't actually start recording until the countdown is over. So that gives you a chance to have your drink of water, make sure your slides are right. And then over here in the corner of the screen, you can see the little counter counting away. That tells me how long I've been talking. We want to keep an eye on that because we're going for 6 to 10 minute videos. So once it hits about 6 minutes, if you're only on slide 2 of 10, that'll give you a clue that, oh, okay, I can get through one more slide and I probably need to create a new video for the rest of them. So that'll help you keep an eye on the time. Let's say that you have something come up, like maybe your dog starts barking, or you just need to go do something, answer the door real quick, or maybe you just need to have a little cough button, a little way to push audio off so that you can cough off screen without ruining your video. Clicking that red record button again will pause your recording. So right now, nothing that I'm doing is being recorded.
Can you hear me?
The way I like to use this button is I set up my lecture slides with the notes underneath. I have just the section of the screen that's over the slide is what's recording. I do the first slide and then I push pause. I click to the next slide, read through the notes I've left myself underneath the slide, think about what I'm going to say, get in the right headspace, just take like a minute, right? And then I'll click resume recording. And I feel really confident to jump into the next slide. I don't feel rushed. I don't feel flustered. I'm not going to forget anything. I'm going to be able to do a really great job. When I get through slide number 2, pause recording again. I can click to the next slide, look through my notes, make sure I'm ready to go, and then resume recording. And I can keep doing that as long as I need to. And this little timer right here records my actual recorded time. BC. Who is that? I have no idea why. That is a really serious, okay, but I'm gonna push stop, but I'm gonna answer that question in a minute. So I'm gonna click stop recording. It asks you to make sure that you really wanna stop it. Yes, I wanna stop. There's no way to resume recording again. That's why it double checks. The question was, someone's getting an error that they have to ask permission to record. That is, I don't say this lightly because I've been doing this for a while now and I've seen every possible error. That is the first time I've ever seen that error. I have no idea what to do with that. What that person needs to do is email Brightspace support. If you can take a screenshot of the error, that will really help us. But even if you can't, just describe what you clicked and what it told you. We will escalate it immediately to Kaltura Support, the company that provides this tool, and their tech folks who have just a lot more access to Kaltura than we do will tell us how to solve the problem and we'll get back to you. What I would recommend in the meantime, like send that email to brightspace@vanderbilt.edu. But what I would recommend in the meantime is re-download the install package for Kaltura, because the only thing I can imagine that would cause an error like that is some sort of a problem with the install. Jake, you think you have an answer?
So it may be that the computer is requesting permission to use your camera, your microphone, so it may be a Windows pop-up.
Oh, see, that would never occur to me because I have no idea how computers work in general. So
it would be helpful if we could see their screen, or if they were, if this participant in Zoom call can share their screen and we can see what they're looking at, that may be helpful, or they can screenshot it, snip it, do whatever they need to do.
Jake, do you have access to the Zoom call over there? Would you work directly with them? Because Jake, our VUIT liaison here, has some ideas about maybe it might be a hardware thing where the computer is asking for permission to access the webcam and the mic. And so he's going to reach directly to you and see if we can figure out how to get you past that. This is awesome, why it's been awesome to partner with VUIT over the last couple weeks, because it would never, those kinds of issues would never occur to me. I don't want to insinuate they wouldn't occur to my staff though. Paige probably would have thought of it. She just wasn't in the room. Okay, I'm going to keep going while you guys are working with that user. Does that sound good? Okay, so I've created this little 1 minute and 41 second video here. And before I do anything with it, it gives me the option to edit the title. For those of you who are creating a bunch of lecture slides, I mean, let's imagine it's a fully lecture course. That's the whole thing, all presentational lecture. You're going to create like 8 lecture videos that are 6 minutes long for every course for the rest of the semester. So you're going to need a really good system of labeling those. You can add a title. This is totally editable. You can add a direct description to make sure that once this is uploaded to my media, it's easy for you to locate it and know which one you want to deploy to which course. If this went horribly wrong, you know for a fact that you're not going to want to review it. And actually, you can review it right here just by clicking play. There's a delete button here. You can get rid of it now before you ever upload it to my media. Or you can click save and upload. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to save and upload. Once it is uploaded, we'll have more opportunities to delete it. So don't worry that if you upload it, you can never get rid of it again. You will. You'll be able to edit it, delete it, do all sorts of things to it once it's uploaded. And you can see that we have this little bar right here telling us how the upload is going. If you are ready to do a second recording, this red button up here will give you the interface back so you can record again. If you need to work on any of the settings, do you see what I did? A new recording takes you to this interface, and then this little button here, manage. Manage takes you back to this screen. I want to show you inside this manage screen, there's settings right here. Your settings might be set to all different speeds. And what we've found over the last couple of days working with people who are using Kaltura is that you're going to get a better result if they're all set to the same recording quality. So I'm going to go ahead and set my camera recording quality to 480. I'm going to set my screen recording quality to 480. And Paige is really upset. She wants it to be a higher quality, but Paige, that's going to up our bandwidth requirements. And really, my students don't need to see every pore in my face in my webcam recording. That is not required for the kind of work I'm doing. Some of you might need students to be able to see like granular things that you're writing on your webcam, or be able to see really small detail in the slides. But for most of us, we don't actually need high recording quality. We just need the screen and the webcam to be at the same. And then if you're going to be playing any sounds that students need to be able to hear that are not coming from your mouth, but they're coming from the computer, then you're going to need to be able to record system audio as well. That means that the audio is coming from the internet or from something you're playing on your computer. That is not my case. I don't want any system audio. I only want to record the words I'm saying through the microphone. I'm going to go ahead and save these settings. And if you happen to talk to other faculty who are using this tool, that's probably one of the like inside knowledge kinds of things that would be a really good tip to share with people is before you get started, go to your settings, make sure that you're using lower settings if you don't need really granular sort of view of your face and the screen, and choose the lowest settings and then make sure they match, because having different settings for different tools can cause a little bit of a mismatch between the audio and the video sometimes. All right, was everyone able to record a test video? How'd it go? I'm gonna have a drink of water while I wait for you to tell me how it went. All right, good talk, guys. Now what you're gonna do to be able to see this video is click on My Media again. When you click on My Media again, it will take you to your media library, and you can see March 16th, 2020 at 11:36 a.m. I created this file. Yes.
Ms. Ramey just asked, she had her Kaltura interface disappear, just like yours did while she was working with it. Can you show her?
Yeah, all I did was the screen, like over here, these buttons for restoring or minimizing or maximizing the screen. When it was maximized, it covered up the Kaltura interface, so I minimized it. And then down here, can you see my toolbar at the very bottom? This little blue box with like some lines cut out of it at the bottom with the circle in the middle, that's our Kaltura tool. So I just maximized the screen. It showed me my toolbar at the bottom, and then I could see Kaltura down there. And every time I click on that, I can make it come or go. So much power. Thanks for asking questions. It's lonely up here. No one asks questions. All right. So any other Kaltura questions? Any ideas for use cases? Anything we need to talk about? Because if not, we can move on and talk about how to put Kaltura videos in your course. All right, so all of you have access to our Vanderbilt remote teaching training course that's labeled 03/16/2020. If you click on that course, it will take you to an announcements page. We really highly recommend using the announcements tool to communicate with students. I know email is sort of the default communication, and email is fantastic. But the problem with email is that it's hard to ensure that students' eyes get on the email. So every once in a while we'll get that report like, oh, the email went to spam, or I didn't know you sent one, so I haven't checked it in a few days. Or I get so many emails a day that some of them just slip through the cracks. And I think for a lot of our students, they are going to be getting so many emails from all of their online courses that thinking about where can we keep our communications for students in a central location where it won't go away. The announcements tool is great for that. I also want to show you, we have a guide in our student section that shows them how to do this. But if you click on your name in the top of Brightspace and go to notifications, they can actually set notifications. So every time you send out an announcement, they get it as a text message on their phone. So announcements can be a really great tool. And if you establish upfront with your students, I am going to email you every once in a while, but every single communication I have for you is going to be in announcements. So you need to be logging on, you know, every time we're scheduled for class, log on to Brightspace, check the announcements, see if I have anything to share with you. They will develop, make sure that's an expectation of the course, they'll develop that habit of knowing that important things are going to be here, and they don't go away. The entire rest of the semester, all the announcements you've sent will be here available to you, and you can create a new one, you can put them in different orders, you can edit announcements if it turns out that something had the wrong link or had the wrong date. So you have a lot of control over this space, and we highly recommend taking advantage. There's also a content area. That's where I want to go right now, because that's where most of us are going to be putting our Kaltura lecture videos. So you'll see here that we have sort of 3 fake class meetings set up. And in the class meeting that I set up for today, I created this module. I gave it a name that was really, really clear for students to understand that this is what they need to click on for everything that has to do with Monday's class. And then I gave them really, really clear instructions about what kinds of things I want them to do before they meet for class and during the actual class time. With so many students moving to online all at once, or online and alternative, not all of them are going to be fully online. It's really important to make sure students understand, how is that meeting time productive? What am I supposed to do during the meeting time? And what things do I have the ability to do when it's most convenient for me? So some folks might be in really busy houses that are full of everyone who's off school right now. And so during the day, it might be harder for them to get their work done. But if we are able to make as many activities as possible available asynchronously, and they can finish them at any time, that might really free them up. Also, I don't know about in your house, but in my house, after my kids turn off their video games, my Wi-Fi gets so much better. And so anything that I can do in the evening is really useful. So I've listed, they're going to read an article, they're going to watch the lecture video, and then no later than Sunday night, they're going to answer a prompt in the discussion. I've put links to the library reading. Every library resource gives you a permalink that you can post in your course as a link. The library also has a tool for creating course lists. Either of those are great ways to share readings with students. I've posted my video lecture. When I click on this is a Kaltura video that I created using Capture. And you'll see it just turns into a streaming video here for students. When I show it, my face is not in it. It is just my slides with me talking over them. I also have a completion summary, and I can see the date stamp for when students clicked on this link. And then during class time, I've said, like a solid half of our class was that lecture. I turned it into a lecture video on Kaltura, and they can watch it anytime before class. So we're not going to spend a full 50 minutes in a live video conference because they've already gotten like 25 minutes of lecture. They've just done it asynchronously, but that's still our class time. So we are going to have a video conference today, but it is not going to last 50 minutes. I put here that it's going to last approximately 30 minutes, but y'all, it's not going to last 30 minutes either. I've already said everything I have to say in the lecture. My students have already watched the lecture and then posted some answers to prompts in an individual discussion board. And so we've already done at least 2/3 of the work of class asynchronously. What we need now is to meet for 15 and 20 minutes and exchange ideas and check in with each other and ask questions face to face. And that can take as long as it takes. But I need to be really careful not to record video lectures and have a discussion board and still have a 50-minute face-to-face class period. We're trying to tease out, use the video conferencing for only as much time as you actually need that interaction. Use asynchronous presentational tools for other kinds of learning, and all of it together, it's going to add up to your 50-minute class period or your hour and 15-minute class period. But don't double the work for yourself and double the work for students by putting all of this asynchronous work online, but then also requiring the same amount of synchronous work. In fact, in a typical online course, I would say watching some lecture videos and engaging in discussion would be a completely acceptable class period, even if you don't also offer a synchronous check-in session. We're pretty lucky that we have the tools to be able to meet synchronously with students, but I'm especially thinking about my folks, my fellow language teachers on campus who maybe meet up to 5 times a week with their students. Scheduling 5 weekly live Zoom sessions with your students just might not be sustainable. Thinking about how you can do a lot of presentational work up front, let students look at that asynchronously, and then use your video conferencing time really intentionally to focus on what are the interactions I want them to have, how can we have them efficiently, and how can I not overload my students with too much to do to fit into the small amount of time we have. Are there any questions? Oh, I haven't actually shown you how to do it. I've shown you I did it, but I haven't shown you how to do it. Let me show you real quick. I'm going to go to existing activities in any module. In fact, I'm just going to create a new module so you can see me do that. If you guys are in this course, please feel free to create your own module and follow along. That's what this course is for. It's for us to get messy and try things out. So I'm going to create a module called Stacey Test. All I do is go down here to where it says add a module, type in the name, and boom, I have a blank module to work with. I'm going to go to existing activities and then add Kaltura Media. You can see the very first video here is the one I just created while we were talking. I'm going to click select. And boom, there it is, a nice link. Question?
Okay, so we have two. First, did you say that the completion summary shows that a specific student has logged on and watched the video?
Well, I think logged on and watched the video. Oh, repeat the question. Thank you, Paige. If Derek is watching this, Paige is reminding me to repeat the question into the microphone for you, Derek. Don't worry.
Thank you.
So the question is, does the completion summary show me a specific student has logged on and watched the video? That's a great question. It does. It shows you that someone has clicked on this link, a specific student. It actually gives you a list of all of your students and tells you whether they've clicked on this link. There is a big chasm between clicking on a link and watching a video. And so I don't want us to rely on the completion summary to give us information about student engagement. The information about student engagement comes from pedagogy, right? I have to do some sort of a check-in with my students to see how they're processing things. I have to give them opportunities to share their ideas. Things like a journal with some prompts where you ask students either on a discussion board or in an assignment to answer some questions about the video and tell you what they think and how they're extending the information to apply to their own experiences. That's a great way to tell if students have watched the video. The completion summary will tell us if they've clicked on the link. And in this case, it'll probably be pretty accurate because that's the only way they can watch the video is to click on the link. But in most Brightspace courses, there are multiple ways to get to any particular activity. And so telling us whether someone has clicked on that link won't help much if they can also watch the video without clicking on the link. So the completion summary gives us some data, but it's not the data that you might think. Another question?
Yeah, we might need to wait to go over this, but we did have another question about the pros and cons of Zoom as opposed to virtual classroom.
I'm happy to go ahead and move on. I see no one has created a test module, and that's fine. I'm not hurt or disappointed that you didn't want to create a test module, but I think this is going, and you don't have to laugh at my jokes because I can't see your faces. That's the other thing I want to tell you. So if you do create, I'm laughing at my own jokes. Oh gosh, guys, teaching by Zoom is a skill set, and we're all going to get better at it as we go. So if you do want to add a module to actually follow along with what I'm doing, I very highly recommend that, because trying out these tools now will show you where the unexpected things are. And I can't really always predict what you're going to run into or what questions you'll have. So for me, the best thing is if you're doing some of these things along with me, run it into some barriers and we can help sort them out now before we send you on your own. Because what I'm hoping you'll do right after this workshop is over is spend an hour or two just fiddling around with these tools. Like take Kaltura Capture out for a ride, try every setting, make 20, 15-second videos and see which one you like best so that you can determine what kinds of videos you're going to make for your students moving forward. And the same goes for Zoom and virtual classroom. If there's no more questions about Capture and how to add videos to courses, oh, I do want to show you one more thing. If you don't want to put all your videos in the content area like this, linking them all up in a particular class meeting, there's another way. Every course comes with a media gallery. When I click on that media gallery, it shows me just a list of all the videos I've made available or students have made available to this course. Anyone in the course can add things to the media gallery. So let me have to move your faces to the other side so I can find the blue button that says Add Media. And this shows me my own My Media library, and I can just click right here in that box, go up to the big blue button that says Publish, and now this video is available in the media gallery. So you have choices. You can put every video in the media gallery with really clear titles and descriptions and let students watch through them, or you can add them to the content area in exactly the right day so they know exactly where to go, or you can do both. Just extra work. Who doesn't love extra work? I think just as long as you're consistent, do one or the other or both, but just do it the same way consistently, your students will have no trouble finding it. Virtual classroom and Zoom time, right? Okay, so for the last 3 years or so that we've had Brightspace, there's been a tool built in called Virtual Classroom. It's a basic little video conferencing tool, but I have used it for so many different things. I've test driven it a lot. Up here in our on-demand resources, we have guides, video conferencing, Zoom and Virtual Classroom. So you'll see there's a whole set for Zoom that we're adding to all the time because Zoom is just such a big tool with so many bells and whistles. But Virtual Classroom is a little bit of a simpler tool, and we have these guides that make it easy for you to host a session in Virtual Classroom. If you have not already, click on this Quickstart guide. Print it off if you're going to use Virtual Classroom, because it has all these little numbers that show you exactly what you're going to see on your Virtual Classroom screen, and then exactly what all of them mean. You can't remember how to upload your slides. It's right here. It's number 3. So the reason why we built this is actually because I would get really flustered when I was in a Virtual Classroom meeting. I would be like, oh, how do I find my slides? And so as a team, we built this so that I could keep it next to me on my desk while I was hosting a virtual meeting and not have to feel flustered if something got wrong, because I had my little cheat sheet right there. We also have guides on Virtual Classroom for students if they want to have those open during a meeting as well. Okay, so Virtual Classroom is really basic. You create a meeting, and there's several different ways that you can create a meeting, but the easiest way, oh look, Lynn, you made a test. Thank you. The easiest way for me to create a meeting is to go to existing activities. So remember, we go to existing activities to link Kaltura videos. We also go to existing activities to, I'm going to scroll all the way down, get into the Virtual Classroom. So go to your module, existing activities, Virtual Classroom. It's giving me a next button. That's something. It just told me to click next. That is not what usually happens, but when I click next, it works. So I'm just going to go with it. I don't have any meetings set up already in this course, but I can schedule one right now. Click the blue schedule meeting button. I'm going to say, I'm going to misspell things because it doesn't matter, or maybe I'm not going to misspell it. I'm actually going to pronounce it that way. It's a remote teaching demo, not a remote teaching demo. I'm going to choose the date. That's today. And in fact, I don't have to put in the date and time if I want to do one right now. But let's say I want to have this meeting right now. I could also put in like my regular class time, Tuesday at 10 a.m. I can make it, right now it says that the max duration for a meeting is 90 minutes, but I want to tell you guys that's not actually true. In about 2 weeks, it's not going to be 90 minutes anymore. It's going to be 60 minutes. So just have in your mind that Virtual Classroom meetings can't be longer than 60 minutes long. If you have a 3-hour class, you can always schedule like 2 Virtual Classroom meetings, one right after another. I would encourage you never to schedule 3-hour Virtual Classroom or Zoom meetings, because unlike a face-to-face situation where we can sort of vary the activities and try to keep energy up, in a Zoom meeting, there's one thing you're doing. You're staring at a computer screen. It can be really fatiguing. This is one of the reasons in online teaching, we try and get all the presentational part out of the live interaction, because it can actually just be hard to sit there for 3 hours or 1 hour. So If all you need to do is the live interaction, virtual classroom will let you do it for up to 60 minutes. I like to push start recording automatically so that I don't have to remember to hit record when I get into the meeting. And by creating a recording, I'm making the meeting more accessible to my students, because let's say someone lives in a place where they don't have stable Wi-Fi. They can't make the class meeting, they just can't. But I can be flexible and say, well, the live class meeting is for everyone who can get there. But if you can't get there, we're gonna record it and I'm gonna make that link available to you so that you can watch it later when you manage to go to some place that has better Wi-Fi, or when your Wi-Fi is more able to manage it. So by creating recordings of the meetings, we can make our live video sessions slightly more accessible. Was there a question, Paige? Oh, okay, I thought you were getting my attention. Another thing you can do is allow external participants. So in the past, I've used Virtual Classroom to like Skype people in as guest lecturers into my class. So I'm thinking about last year, there was a faculty member at the University of Wisconsin that I wanted to bring into class, and obviously they couldn't travel to my class, so I created a virtual meeting, clicked allow external participants. It gives me a little link that I can send that person, and they found it really, really easy to just click the link and join our meeting. At that time, we were all in the physical classroom. I had them projected up on the screen and the laptop over close to where we were sitting, and we were able to ask the person questions and interact with them with their face up on the screen. So that was really fun. But now when we're all meeting virtually, they will be able to screen in just like any of your students will. They can even like upload presentation slides, use the whiteboard feature to draw things. It can be a really useful tool. If this is a repeating meeting, like every Tuesday you meet at this time, go ahead and set that up. You can just make it repeating and then click save. Oh, nice. Someone else scheduled a virtual class meeting. So now that I have it scheduled, if I click on that blue meeting, it dumps the blue meeting into my module. So this is going to be the link that students actually click on to go to the virtual classroom meeting. That's where I'm going to stop with virtual classroom, because there's not too much more that I can do as a demo. Really, everything else you're going to need to do on your own. So it's about spending an hour fiddling around, trying every button. Print out our virtual classroom Quickstart guide. Grab a friend who you can invite to a meeting. Try every button. Try everything. Try the whiteboard. Try uploading slides. Try ending a meeting. Try recording a meeting. We have all of these guides here that will help you record your virtual classroom meeting, access those recordings, answer any questions. And Brightspace support is here to help. Brightspace at vanderbilt.edu if you run into any questions. Yes.
So I have a question that may be helpful for everyone else. When you record a Zoom meeting, what's the best way to upload that Zoom meeting file when they record it in the cloud to their Brightspace course?
The question is, if you're recording a Zoom meeting, what's the best way to get that recording to your course? And the answer I'm going to give you applies to both virtual classroom and Zoom. With Zoom, you have a choice of recording on your local device or doing cloud recording. And I want to strongly encourage everyone to do cloud recording, because cloud recording also allows you to generate a transcript of the meeting, which for accessibility reasons, maybe you have students who can't hear, or maybe you have students who their technical setup isn't going to allow them to access the meeting recording. Having that transcript of the meeting is going to make it so much more accessible. Virtual Classroom only does cloud recording. Zoom, you have an option, choose cloud recording. You can get a link when you access that recording, which once again, I'm not going to show you because I don't have a recording on hand right now, but right here under how do I access my virtual classroom sessions and how can I record my Zoom meeting, those two guides walk you step by step through looking for your recording, clicking the button that says get a link to this recording, and then once you have a link to the recording, you will go to upload and create, this blue button in the module. You will create a link and you'll title it like Zoom meeting March 16th, 2020. and then you'll just paste that URL that you got from the cloud recording right here. That will allow your students to access it within Brightspace with just a click. I'm sorry I can't demo it. I actually don't have a recorded meeting to show you, but it works the same for both tools. We have screenshots and step-by-step. And if you run into any trouble, you can talk to us for virtual classroom. VUIT is also like just doing a Herculean effort to make sure everyone knows how to get to their recordings and record their sessions. So definitely reach out to either of our teams. I want to talk about Zoom for a minute because that was virtual classroom, and Zoom and virtual classroom work a little bit differently. What I want you to do, please, is choose. Either you're going to use virtual classroom or you're going to use Zoom. Here's how you're going to make your choice. Virtual classroom, you can only record for 60 minutes. You can't have more than 50 participants, and the recordings only last for 14 days. It is not a fully featured video conferencing system. It's the simple built-in one that comes with Brightspace. I've been using it for years, and I'm really happy with it. And it's going to work for me moving forward, so I'm sticking with it. But Zoom is a fully featured video conferencing tool. There's unlimited or up to 300 participants, unlimited recording, and the recordings last indefinitely as long as you need them. So it doesn't have the limits on how much you can use it the way virtual classroom does. And Zoom just has a ton of more features. So if you have a class where students often are working in small discussion groups, maybe spending 10 or 15 minutes discussing in small groups, and then they come back to the large group and have a large group discussion to report out, which is a really common way that seminars are run, you can do that on Zoom. Zoom has a breakout room feature where you can manually or automatically put your students into separate rooms and still be able to manage those rooms from that single Zoom interface. It also has a really cool thing where you can put different like green screens and videos and pictures behind you. It has, we can use it inside or outside of Brightspace. Virtual Classroom is only inside of Brightspace. But Zoom, you can download the app to your phone. You can, so if students are on a mobile device, Zoom is going to be much more accessible to them. For those students who maybe don't have a consistent laptop to be able to use for this kind of video work, or don't have a webcam on their laptop, they can download to their iPhone the Zoom app, do it that way. So Zoom is a great tool. We're really excited to have it, and we hope a lot of you choose to use it. We have more guides coming all the time. Right now, we have this collection of guides for faculty. We also have four guides for students. VUIT has entire pages about Zoom, and Zoom just has a ton of documentation on their website. So every time I've needed to know something, I'm like, Zoom transcripts for cloud recordings into the Google, and I get really extensive step-by-steps about how to do anything I need to do on Zoom, because they just have a lot of documentation. So please feel very comfortable using Zoom, but you're going to use it a little bit differently. It doesn't work exactly like virtual classroom. So let me show you how you're going to use it. First, in order to use Zoom, I've gotten back into that thing where I'm talking really fast and moving from one thing to another. Remember to ask questions. So here on your Navbar, did you know that this Navbar is customizable? You can get rid of anything that you're not using and add things that you are using. Little pro tip though, don't ever get rid of course admin. That's your like instructor portal to instructor tools. Students can't even see this button, course admin. And if you accidentally delete it, you're gonna have to email brightspace@vanderbilt.edu and we'll help you put it back on. So when you hover your mouse over the Navbar, oh, I'm sorry, I keep thinking of more things I wanna show you. Do you see this help button? Have you ever clicked on it before? If you click on the help button, the instructor FAQ takes you right to our support site with all of our guides. The student FAQ will take students to their guides. So just use that liberally. We are really happy to be able to help. But as I was saying, when you hover over the Navbar, you should see this gray box turn up with 3 little dots on it. If you click that, you'll have the option to edit this Navbar. And all of these little widgets represent the different things that are on your nav bar right now. I want to add Zoom. So do you see what I did there? I clicked add links. Now I'm going to type in Zoom. There's a Zoom link right here. I'm going to check it, click add, and boom, I've got a Zoom link. I don't want it at the very end though. I want students to really, really see it. So I'm going to move it up to the front right after content. You can do absolutely whatever you want to make this more accessible for your students. And then I'm going to click save and close. And look, now my nav bar has a Zoom link. When I click on that Zoom link, it takes me to the Zoom interface. Now, this isn't just like virtual classroom, you add one meeting at a time to content. Zoom, you add the whole Zoom dashboard. So if let me move these faces again. If I schedule a new meeting, I can schedule all of my class meetings right here, right? And then every time a student clicks on Zoom, they will see all of our class meetings, the ones I've scheduled, the ones that are coming up. There's also where I can access my cloud recordings. So if I've created a recording, this is where I'll be able to go and click a little button right there and get a link to my cloud recording so I can go put it in my content area. But by adding Zoom to the dashboard, you're making all of the meetings you create in Zoom through your course available to students. Is Jake around?
Yeah, to step out, but I can step in.
Okay, I actually asked one of our VUIT colleagues to field some questions and do a little bit more talking about Zoom because they have more expertise there than I do. So I'm going to turn it over to BC.
Thanks, Stacey. So when we're talking about setting up meetings, I don't want to get into Stacey's interface too much. There's several things to take into consideration, and chief among those right now is making sure that your students have access to bandwidth. So bandwidth is going to get kind of stressed pretty much everywhere right now with everything going on online. So it's important to do some small steps to help make sure your students' internet connections are not too overtaxed. So when you're scheduling your meetings, make sure that you do actions such as the participant video is turned off and the participant audio is turned off by default. That way, whenever the participants or your students join a meeting, their audio will not come through at the outset. That is a global setting, so that way that there's no user interaction that has to do on that front as well. Also, some additional settings such as turning off use HD video will help also with bandwidth considerations. I would really encourage you to kind of dig into Zoom and really kind of tailor it to how you want to use it. There are a myriad of scheduling features that you can use, such as assigning alternative hosts, which will allow folks to be a little bit easier on guest speakers, as well as setting delegates so that you can have TAs or faculty assistants establish meetings for you. So if there are any specific questions, please let us know. But otherwise, I would encourage you just to, like Stacey said, get in there, use the tool, set up some test meetings, and kind of see what happens. One thing I did want to highlight now that Zoom is live is there's a good way that Zoom has to be able to test your connections. If you go to Zoom, that is zoom.us/test, that will allow you to test the connections, see what your webcam looks like, check your audio, see what screen sharing activities look like, and that'll help you kind of also get your feet wet with the app before you have to start using it in class. Any questions coming through, Paige?
We do have one.
Okay.
It's a Zoom question. She says she can ask later.
Okay.
She says when she tries sharing a video, the sound doesn't share. It might be a Mac issue.
Okay. We'll have to do some digging on that because I can't think of what would be prohibiting that off the top of my head.
Does it
But
do system audio by default?
it should do system audio by default, but I'll do some double checking and see what's going on with that.
Yeah, thanks. It was like the error that it popped up. I tried it last night, and the error that it popped up may have been Max.
Okay. I would also encourage you, as these Zoom questions do come up, kind of check those online resources, and also if it's something that you need some more immediate assistance with, reach out to your local support providers, and we will definitely be able to get that answer for you. Thanks.
I just want to second what BC just said. We are really happy to help. Sometimes when people email us, they say, I'm sorry to bother you, I know you're really busy, and we appreciate the kindness of that sort of email, but honestly, we're excited to get to help you. Teams all over campus in the CFT, VUIT, administrative folks, grad students who've been roped into doing support, and a whole team of people that we at the CFT call the CFT deputies, which are faculty in different schools and departments doing really great work on a peer-to-peer basis. There's people everywhere who want to help. And so if you're struggling, you're not alone. We're all in this together. Some of these tools may just not be for you. It's okay not to use video conferencing. It's okay not to do video lectures. If you want to upload your PowerPoint and just put really extensive notes underneath the slides so that students can see everything that you would say, that is going to be a huge benefit to students. And it will also just allow them access to what they need in a very low bandwidth way, in an asynchronous way, without taxing any of their resources or any of yours. So if you find yourself at a place where you're saying, this is too much, I can't handle all these new tools, I can't do this, my strong advice to you would be, think about how you can scale back. How can you communicate well with students? Maybe use the announcement tool, maybe use email. How can you use the free things that are already available at Vanderbilt if they work for you? Or are there other tools that you already know how to use, like Camtasia or Google Tools, Google Docs? Those can all be amazing teaching and learning tools, and you can use anything that you think is going to fulfill the mission of your course, that's going to fulfill the learning objectives of your course. This doesn't have to be overwhelming for you, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming for your students. But if you find it does, please reach out. We are really happy to help.